Been seeing all over Twitter today, a bunch of people are like, I'm not filing taxes this year.
Hey, so we're not paying taxes this year, right?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hey, quick question. Are we filing our taxes this year?
It's time for a tax strike. It's time, right?
Listen, everybody has to pay taxes. Even businessmen that rob and steal and cheat from people every day. Even they have to pay taxes.
Are you planning on paying your taxes this year? Because right now, it's a growing movement on TikTok and a lot of other social media platforms and even some TV networks about Tax Strike 2026. It sounded like people are serious. Let's explore what's going on. What it look like, TV?
I am back. What it do, baby?
YouTube's own Varnell Hill.
Did you miss me?
Your very own spokesman for the Inside-ians, we're inside and we're comfortable.
They're so comfortable.
And I'm back with another one. And before we even get started, y'all know this is not a political channel. We don't get down in the mud. We here to have fun. But the biggest story right now on TikTok is this tax strike. So we're just going to cover what's going on and what people are saying, and we're going to explore the phenomenon. This isn't going to be a political video. We're just looking at the fact that a lot of people feel like it's a solution and not paying their taxes. And I'm thinking this is a setup for another one of them PPP loan situation, Klarna glitch situations, because this is going to come back to bite a lot of people in the behind. But let's get right into it.
Hey, so we're not paying taxes this year, right? Because if we were to, that would be taxation without representation, which is literally what we rebelled and created this country for. So we're not doing that this year, right? Tax strike 2026.
We do got to get on board with this tax strike 2026, okay? We have to, because here's the thing, that if we're not paying these taxes, they have no money to steal. If they want tax refunds to go to the government, they audit our politicians and they audit the Pentagon, the Treasury. They go through all that first and get the money, okay?
Okay. Hey, quick question. Are we filing our taxes this year?
Yes, definitely.
Are we?
It's time for a tax strike. It's time, right? I've made a video about this previously, but I wasn't really ready to pull the trigger because I didn't anticipate things getting this bad. I was so wrong, and it's time for us to pull the trigger. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I'm not saying anybody should go out there and do anything. This administration, this government will not see an additional cent of my money. I've already gone into my, HR platform and set myself to exempt. I'm going to put the money aside in a savings account or a Roth IRA or something like that, such that, when things get better and it's time for me to pay my taxes, the money's already there.
You guys, we need to pull off this tax strike. We absolutely need to pull this off. Because, it's like one of the best things that we can do, given how large the U.S. is, given how spread out we are, until we can start, smaller connections within our community and then growing from there. This tax strike, I think this is going to be, let's start there. Let's start there.
And about the tax strike, everyone keeps asking a really dumb question, which is, oh, what if they catch me? What if they catch me? What else do you have to lose? They've taken your health. They took your food stamp. They took all the things that you pay for already away from you. What else do you have to lose? Also, these idiots are so stupid that because they wanted to spend more of your tax dollars in unscrupulous ways, like buying a ballroom and things like that, they fired like half of the IRS. The IRS employees sued them and won because it was illegal, and it was solely so that they could literally steal more of your tax dollars. So you'd rather give your money to the people who are stealing it in your face than just hold it in your pocket and wait for them to come get it. First off, the biggest thing they're gonna do is just try to send you a letter to tell you to send it. But they're not gonna, because they simply don't have the capacity to enforce the tax code anymore because they did their own thing. So tax strike now.
Like I said, I ain't here to get into how people feel and why they feel like that. I'm here to show you what's the mood and what's the tone and what's going on over on TikTok. And right now, along with all this, as you can imagine, we need the tax strike 2026. There's some people out there that's not really giving out the best advice.
So I've been pushing this tax strike 2026 things pretty hard. thing pretty hard. And the number one question I get asked is like, what if they garnish my wages? Babes, unless you make a silly amount of money, they're not going to want to go through the effort to find out where you work, figure out who you are. If you don't file taxes, they got to do all that work themselves. They don't want to. They just want you to give them the money right away from every paycheck. If enough of us do this, they're not going to have the manpower to find every single one of us. It's actually a really lengthy process. First, they have to find you. Then they have to find where you work. Then they have to send a letter to your employer. Then they have to wait for the employer to send a letter back. They don't want to do any of that. They don't want to do that. If enough of us do this, they're not going to have the power, the manpower, or the resources to find us. We're going to be fine. Put that money in a high yield savings account, and I promise you're going to be fine.
Right now it's 2:30 a.m. somewhere in the world. Somebody has their robe on, they're drinking a cup of coffee, and they just got finished 10 hours of writing the code for the IRS. The IRS is about to have a program where they could find all of y'all and everybody could get a letter on the same day. If you think that they're not trying to get some AI automation at the IRS, you are sadly mistaken. And I think in the future, it's going to be even easier for them to collect this money for y'all. I'm just adding that little piece to it because I think she thinks it's going to be harder for them to come collect this money than it actually is. And all this about you need to be making buku money or you need to owe them tons of money for them to garnish your wages, that's BS. I owe them not even $10,000 in student loans and they garnish my wages. They will come get that money. Like I said, you can feel the way you feel, but don't set yourself up for failure listening to some bad advice.
To everybody that's talking about not paying their taxes and all the bullshit that they're saying about a tax strike, 1099 people that own businesses and stuff like that, yes, I understand. Yes, you pay your taxes at the end of the year. They don't take it out of your check weekly or bi-weekly when you get paid like us W-2 people. The W-2 people, what they need to do is they need to change their dependents on their W-2s. Put down 9 kids. Do the same thing that the illegals do. Massive dependents, they take out very little bit of taxes out of your paychecks, and then they expect you to pay it back at the end of the year. That's when you say, F you. You get all your money throughout the year. They take very little taxes out of your check.
That's a terrible idea.
If they not giving out the go crazy with dependents advice, they're telling everybody to go exempt. And a lot of people are going exempt right now.
So I have an update. I officially decided to go exempt on my taxes for the year of 2026. So I'm going to see how this plays out, and we'll be updating you guys shortly how this reflects on the paycheck, because clearly the money's not going where we need it to go.
All right, here's the deal. Some of y'all need some help. Your taxes for 2025 have already been taken out, and that's fine. File your tax return in 2026 in April, okay? Now, since it's a new year, call your employer or get a hold of your employer, send them an email, get you a new W-2 or W-4. My W-4 looks like this, tax exempt. You're gonna put tax exempt in the correct box, federal income tax stops coming out of your check. Fantastic. You're never gonna get Social Security back if you're a millennial or Gen Z. It's all gonna go up in flames. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, I'm gonna save money so I can pay taxes later. Whatever, fine. You don't have any cojones, then pay your taxes later. Put it in a separate account. Or don't pay them at all.
We've got a badass over here.
Once you file your taxes, then you're giving the IRS the okay to sift through all your stuff. If you owe them money, they're going to come after you. But that's only because you filed your taxes. If you don't file at all, they have nothing to go on. Once you file your taxes, you're saying, hey, IRS, come fuck me. Okay? So stop filing. If you want to pay them back later, stop filing, number one. If you want to put them in a separate account, pay it later, fine, do that, or don't pay them at all. Once you go tax exempt, don't pay them anymore, or put them in a separate account, pay them later, but do not file. Once you file your tax return, you're giving the IRS permission. You're welcome. Call your employer.
You need to file as exempt on your W-4 immediately. Do not give the government a cent more than you have to. But Nicole, we have to pay our taxes or they'll garnish my wage. No, they won't. You know why? Because you have until October of next year to come up with those funds. Okay, you file for exempt this year, you get to set aside all those funds that you're getting for not paying your taxes immediately. And then, come filing season next year, file for an extension, you have until October 2027. Imagine how much leverage we, the people, will have if we all do this. October 2027. That is a long way to postpone.
No, not really.
I'm telling you, they out here literally beating the concrete and recruiting people to file exempt. And a lot of people are taking the bait and filing exempt.
Hello, everybody. I had a great night at work. You want to know why? I got 3 of my coworkers to join the tax strike and to put exempt on their W-4s because guess what, guys? We're no longer paying taxes. I love it. I love it. They did it right there in front of me. They switched from paying taxes to exempt. So tax strike 2026. How about this? Tax revolt. Let's do it, guys. Man, there's a lot of crazy shit going on out there, isn't there? We had, what else happened today? Oh, we had that postal service thing. So I made a good post on it. And you know what? Some postal workers are saying that they received the letter where it talks about an imminent danger and threat coming and be careful and extra vigilant. And then some are saying they never received one. Some are saying the letter is fake, but you know what? I'm just playing with the internet because the internet and all this shit coming out, there's so much misinformation out there. So you know what? Oh, well, at least I'm trying to do something for the truth. But yeah, 3 coworkers did it. Tax exempt. Let's go. We're no longer funding this government and their freaking wars. Or yeah, screw both sides. Screw the Dems. Screw the Republicans. Screw the neocons. I'm done. I'm a true conservative. Don't pay your taxes. It's unconstitutional.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Then you got people that say they did the math and they done came up with the exact number of people that they would need to go exempt to actually break the government or send a message to the government.
All right, you ready for some really cool numbers? So I just got done crunching some numbers for this tax strike group that we've put together to perform a federal income tax strike. And a lot of people are asking, like, how big is the group going to have to get before we can have an impact? Or how big does the group need to get before we strike? And I just got done crunching the numbers, and I'm actually pretty surprised. It doesn't have to get near as big as I thought. So according to ChatGPT and the IRS and a couple of other websites, the average American federal taxpayer pays $13,890 in federal income tax. The top 1% pays a little over $500,000 in income tax. The bottom 50% only pay a few hundred, but on average, $13,890. If we assume a 50% participation rate in the group, once the group hits 144,000 members, we have a $1 billion impact to the IRS.
Okay. Hold on. Ty, I would like you to crunch those numbers again.
Who want to be one of the 144,000 chosen? Nah, that was wrong. But didn't we just give somebody $4 billion? That's why you just got to be careful with some of the logic and theories behind this. Like I said, I'm not knocking nobody for how they feel, but moving right on along, I think the part that people keep leaving out about this whole exempt filing status is,
y'all do know even if you go tax exempt, you still got to pay the taxes, right? Are we aware of that? Like, I just want to make sure we're fully understanding, because I'm seeing a lot of videos and a lot of comments of people thinking like, oh, they're just not going to get no money. Oh, the government's not going to get no money out of me. True. They're not going to get no money out of you right now. They're going to get their money later on, though. What penalties come with that? I don't know. That depends on you and how much you make, right? But you are going to have to pay them at the end of that tax year. Just making sure we're fully aware. Unless you already have your favorite Prison Orange jumpsuit picked out. I don't know.
Pay me my money.
As long as you know you're going to have to pay them, and you probably going to have to pay them with some interest or some tax on it. So you're going to have to pay them. You might as well not even set yourself up for the possibility of not paying them. That would be my advice. That's the way I would move. But I can't tell nobody out there how to move. But what are the exact consequences if all this goes bad for somebody?
This comment reads, okay, but don't be surprised in a year when the IRS has put a lien on your property. That sounds serious. Let's talk about it. So maybe you're interested in Tax Strike 2026 and becoming a war tax resistor, and you're wondering, what can the IRS do to me? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that here today. Just a disclaimer, this is information only. I am not giving you any legal advice, any tax advice, any financial advice. This is just information. One of the things that people do to mitigate some of these risks is to take the money that they owe in taxes every year and set it aside somewhere. Maybe at a high-yield savings account. I'm thinking maybe CD, money market, something where you might get a little bit of interest off of it, because the way out of a lot of the consequences is to pay the tax bill. And if you have your back taxes and a little bit of extra to cover fees and interest, that'll make the burden on future you a lot less. So this comment was left on a video where I'm talking about filing your tax return but refusing to pay all or a portion of what you owe. So if that is the situation that someone is in, the first thing that's going to happen is the IRS will send out a form letter. It's pretty standard. They have your information, they know what you're doing, and they want you to know that they know. And these are the scary things that they might be able to do to you. You'll also see penalties being added to your tax bill for not paying. Those can only be a maximum of 25% of your total tax owed, and your tax debt will also start to accrue interest, which will happen until you reach the statute of limitations, which is 10 years. Now about this lien that the commenter is warning me about, the IRS doesn't publish exactly when they take particular enforcement steps, at what part of the process or what level of debt. However, the National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee, over years of doing war tax resistance, has figured out that it's around the $25,000 in tax debt mark, which that's going to take me a little bit to get there. I don't know about you. I don't make that much. What does the lien do? Well, practically speaking, if someone is trying to pay you with a loan, say they're taking out a mortgage to buy your house, the bank will see that lien, and instead of paying all the money directly to you, they will pay the federal government what they're asking for before giving you the rest of the money. If you know something different about liens, let me know, but that's the biggest practical impact that would have. A more immediate concern for people might be something like wage garnishment or the seizure of property or assets. And that is something that the IRS could do, and they seem to do it around the $25,000 mark when they do it. However, it is not particularly common. It's a lot of work. And honestly, with the reductions in the IRS staff under President Trump, I think it looks very likely that that's not going to increase anytime soon. And then somewhere in the $60,000 something owed in tax debt, the IRS will then contact the State Department, potentially, and tell them that you are not allowed to renew your passport or get a new passport. So if you end up in a situation where you're coming up on that because you've been a long-time resistor, thank you for resisting for so long, and you might want to get that passport renewed before you hit that mark, because you can continue using your existing passport without any issue. You just can't get a new one. And last but certainly not of least concern is the possibility of criminal prosecution, prison time, that kind of thing. It's not that they can't do it. They just don't do it very often, maybe because it provides a lot of free publicity and public outrage when it happens, and historically I believe has driven even more people towards war tax resistance when they see that kind of thing happening. So it's not necessarily a net win for them. And one of the other possibilities is they might tell your employer to start withholding from you again no matter what you say, which would kind of take away your method that you're using to not pay taxes throughout the year so that you can then refuse to pay them at the end. Now, when I say things aren't super common, that is specifically with regard to war tax resistors. Other types of refusing to pay taxes or tax delinquency, they will go after with a little bit more fervor, zeal. But generally speaking, they don't seem to go as hard at the war tax resistor. If you want more detailed information, or if you are looking for some kind of advice, you could go to the National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee's website. They've got information there. You could try to connect with a war tax resistance counselor in your area, and you can also check out their TikTok here for a lot more information as well. These consequences should go away after you pay the tax debt. So having that money on hand, set aside, ready to go is going to be a big help in that. And there are also mutual aid funds. I believe the National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee oversees one of those aid funds. You can always join it as a contributor. I think the website says that they only make about 3 asks a year, and it's never more than $30, I believe. Go check out the website for more details. If that's something you can afford to do, that's a great way to help support the cause, even if you are not going to tax strike, if you're not going to be a war tax resistor.
Like I keep trying to reiterate to y'all, I don't have a horse in the race. So while we have a whole influx of people out here saying that they're not going to pay their taxes because they fighting the power, we have a whole nother influx of people saying that this is one of the dumbest ideas they ever heard.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
I don't know why I'm seeing people talk about a tax strike. Taxes already came out of your paychecks. And if you don't do your taxes, you won't get your refund on the fact that they overtaxed you all year. I think they're just saying that so they get to keep all the extra money. Do your damn taxes. TSA over.
All y'all can go on a tax strike in 2026 if you want to, but I enjoy not being in federal prison, so I'm going to keep paying my taxes.
I've been seeing all over Twitter today, a bunch of people are like, I'm not filing taxes this year. It never ceases to amaze me how stupid some people are. Because, one, why are you admitting that on social media? And two, the IRS doesn't work in real time. Like, they're gonna let you owe them a good tens of thousands of dollars through taxes, and then they're just gonna hit you up like, yeah, we're gonna garnish all your paychecks until we're whole, or they're gonna bring you to jail.
He ain't lying.
Neither of which are good options. So, I mean, go for it. Don't file your taxes. I think they're stupid too, but I'm gonna keep paying them because it's dumber to not. And if you're fine with the going to jail option, that doesn't mean that they're not going to take your house or your car or any other assets that you have and then say, hey, we're even. Like, don't fall into the trap of people that are just yapping on Twitter. That's basically the message.
Telling you, man, those Eagles fans, man, them Eagles fans will never lead you wrong. My man was talking common sense. Had to throw the Eagles hat on for him, man. But like I said, I'm just showing y'all what the vibe is and what everybody's saying. In no way, none of this was any tax advice. Don't take no advice that you heard from any of these people in this video, because me personally, I'm going to pay my taxes and I'm going to pay all of them. Because like my man said, the IRS isn't working in real time. And how you think you're going to beat the people that make the money? We just done seen these people print money endlessly over the past 5 years. They keep printing more money every time we turn around. You think your little $1 billion or whatever you're gonna, I'm gonna leave it alone. But y'all hit me up in the comment section and y'all tell me how y'all feel about it. Are y'all filing y'all taxes or y'all tax striking? I'm filing mine. I'm gonna be one of the first people to file mine, man. I ain't playing with them people. They already garnished my check before. I am not playing with them again. When you go to get your paycheck and you open it up and it's gone.
Say what?
When they have that gone feeling, like I'm telling you, for some reason, it seems like as we keep going into the future, financial literacy is going out the window. They are really, really trying to convince y'all to make the dumbest decisions that y'all can make with y'all financial future.
Shut up and take my money.
Decisions that they wouldn't make. Whoever you think the they is, they wouldn't make this decision. So I wouldn't make it either. So on that note, like I said, hit me up in the comment section. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about everything y'all have just witnessed.
Tell me how you felt about what just happened there.
And if you made it to this point in the video, you are my MVP.
It was a stone's groove, my man.
I'm out of here.
A tax strike is not going to do anything. They're going to get paid anyway. They get their funding from the Federal Reserve, which is a privately owned bank. And there's interest on it. There's been interest on it the whole time. So if that's who creates our money, the Federal Reserve, then the very first loan they issued had interest on it. Guess what? According to the very first loan, more money was owed to pay that back, and that money did not even exist at that time, right? So by definition, the way that it works, there will never be enough money in circulation to pay it back. Most of these people are wealthy. So like we could stop paying taxes and it's not going to change a thing. What we need is accountability. And we need visual results of that accountability.
You're goddamn right.